Hello everyone, my name is Andre Kernouch of Tennessee Alpha, and now that the convention registration system is open, I'd like to take you all through the registration process. It is important to note that you cannot use your account from last year, so most of us will have to create a new account. To do so, we're going to start by clicking the continue button here on the right. On this screen, you have three different options to register as, so you can either be a current member, which most of us will fall under, an elected candidate, or other. So other is an option for those that are non-members and fall under the umbrella of people including headquarters staff, non-member volunteers, professional development speakers, things along those lines. Since I'm a member of Tennessee Alpha, I'm going to give an example of how a current member registers. So once you select your registration type, simply click Submit Your Response to move to the next page. To speedline the registration process for current members, we ask to locate your record in the database. So you just need to provide four parameters here. Your last name, either your chapter or your school, and then your first letter of your first name, and your graduation year. So I'm going to quickly fill this out. Once you are done here, simply click Submit Your Responses once again to move to the next screen. So on this screen, you'll notice that we have pulled your information from our database. You'll be able to edit anything on the left here later, but for now, we simply ask you to focus on your account. So this includes your emails, phone number, name, and password. So I'm going to go ahead and create a password. And then you can either choose whether you want information to be provided to recruiters for contact purposes. And this is very helpful if you're going to the recruiting fair or plan on uploading a resume. So I'm going to keep my option at yes. Now at this point, before you move on, we ask that you review the convention terms and conditions. These conditions include a professionalism policy, a photo release policy, and a airfare/ticket policy. So we ask that you read these carefully, and in order to move on with the registration, you must accept all three of them. Once you're done here, you can click Submit to be thrown to your dashboard. Now, as you can see, we have a dashboard that indicates how far we are into the registration process, and it gives us an overview of the tabs we've already filled out. So as you can see, our personal information tab is complete since we pulled it from the database. However, you can still go in and edit it. And we also have a guest tab that is complete, and that's because the system defaults to you not bringing any guests to convention. So now we're going to go step by step through each of the tabs just to see what options come up and how to fill out the forms. Now the personal information tab is very similar to the registration tab that we saw earlier, except now you can click here if you'd like to update any of the address information or your name that might be incorrect. And you can also change your email and password here if you'd like as well. The first important tab is the one that allows you to choose your role at convention. So you'll see a lot of options here as a drop-down. Most of us will be registering as voting delegates, but please make sure you look at all the other sections that you might fall under in order to select your correct role. For this example, I'm going to be registering as a collegiate chapter voting delegate. It defaults to my chapter, so this is correct. And then once you confirm your profile status, you should see that the convention status tab has now turned green, and you now have two new tabs that have been created. And also your progress is going to be tracked down here as well. It's important to note that once you select your role at convention, you cannot go back and change it, so please make sure you are certain with the role that you're selecting. Only headquarters can change this if you've made a mistake or anything along those lines. Also, please correspond with other members in your chapter who might be attending convention so that you all know who's the voting delegate, who's the non-voting delegate, and things along those lines. Now, all those who are voting delegates or able to be on a committee will have a committee preferences tab, which we'll go through next. The first thing to note here is that if you are assigned to a committee, then you will have to arrive a day earlier to convention, which would be Wednesday, October 9th. Next, you have three options to choose. Either you agree to serve on a committee, you'll serve on one if necessary, or you can choose to not serve on a committee at all. So for this example, I'm going to agree to serve on a committee, and as you can see down here, you can choose your level of interest in all of the committees, and we will do our best to assign you to the committees based on your preferences. Also, if you are not sure what each committee represents, you can click on the link, and this will give you a breakdown of all the committees. Once you have shown some interest or preferred some of the committees, or if you've selected to not serve on one, please click Submit Your Responses. And as you should see, a green check mark should appear next to your committee preferences. The next big tab is the Travel Request tab. This page is mainly for those who need headquarters to make airline reservations for them. If you do not, you have the option to select that you are either driving to convention or you have purchased your own tickets, and you can simply click Submit Your Responses and you'll be thrown to a separate page that we'll go over in a second. However, if you need headquarters to make your airline reservations, it's important to note that voting delegates will have their airfare paid for. However, non-voting delegates from each chapter will only be reimbursed 20% of their airfare up to a maximum of $200. And if you have more than one non-voting delegate, the second one and onward will not get any form of reimbursement at all. The form here is pretty straightforward. Some of the key things to point out is to have a valid form of identification that will not expire during or before convention, and also to provide your name just as it appears on the identification to ensure that they let you on the airplane. The travel agent will do his best to meet your ticket needs and try to get a ticket that matches everything that you supply in this form here. So you can choose things such as a departure airport, a date, along with a time range, whether you prefer a certain seat, and also the same exact information from when you're flying from convention back home. There's also an option for any additional information that you'd like to add. So for example, if you have a frequent flyer number, a preferred airline, or if you'd like to fly with someone from your chapter on the same plane, you can include that information here to help the travel agent meet those needs. You'll notice that once you have completed the Travel Request tab, there will now be a Travel Plan tab that is more detailed and allows you to select more options for your travel plan. This is mainly targeted for those who selected that they were driving or that they have purchased their own airline tickets. If you requested headquarters to purchase your tickets, this tab will already be complete and you'll simply be waiting for these two pieces of information here, your arrival and departure, to be filled in by the travel agent. Once you have submitted your travel request and travel plan, you may move on to package selection. Now this tab allows you to select your package option for when you are at convention. It is important to note that voting delegates and association officials should select one of these full packages because they are covered by headquarters. If you are not a voting delegate or association official, you still may choose one of these packages. However, you will have to cover the costs yourself. We also provide the option for single meals when you're at convention if you do not want to choose one of the packages. We will be offering a Thursday dinner, a Friday banquet dinner, and a Saturday banquet dinner, and each one is priced at $55. Furthermore, you can provide any additional comments or food requirements for this section. So this has any special requests or allergies, things along those lines. Once you have completed your package selection tab, you will be on your last and final tab, which is your hotel reservation. One of the first things is that any room reservations prior to Wednesday night or beyond Saturday night will be at the expense of either you or your chapter. One thing to note is that single room charges are not paid by TBP. So even if you are covered by headquarters, you will still be charged an additional $65 per night if you decide to get a single room. So the first part of this page is whether or not you require a room when you're at convention. And if you do, the range of dates for which you need to stay. And it's important to note that these are the nights of each day, so this would be Wednesday through Saturday night. The second option on this page is whether you would like a double occupancy or single occupancy room. As I mentioned earlier, a single occupancy room is going to run you an additional $65 per night out of your own pocket or your chapter's pocket. The next section allows you to indicate if you have a roommate preference. If you do not indicate a preference for a roommate, you will be assigned a delegate of the same gender as your roommate. And lastly, you have the option to put any additional comments about your hotel reservations here as well. So once you've completed the hotel reservation tab, you are officially registered for the 2019 TBP convention. However, there's one more tab I'd like to go over just in case someone is bringing a guest. There is a guest information tab that you can click on. On this tab, you can indicate that you are bringing a guest to convention, and you will have to fill out all of the following information for the guest. It is important to note that you can select meals for your guest. However, you will be charged for the amount indicated here when you arrive for the registration on site. Once you have registered a guest for the convention, you have the option to register another guest or simply go back and view your old guest and edit any of their information if you would like. At this point, you have completed the registration process for the 2019 convention, and your dashboard will give you an overview of all the tabs that you've completed in a consolidated effort. This is to remind you or give you a quick glance at all the things that you need to be aware of prior to convention. Thank you for watching the video. We hope it was helpful, and we can't wait to see you at the 2019 TBP convention in Columbus, Ohio.